welcome back. As you can see, we have this baby right here again, the wondrous world of Utopia. And, yep, I know we didn't do this in a long time because the book was falling apart, the pages were falling out, and we had to get it coiled, as you can see. So it's much more, it looks better now, the pages won't come out, and the map is clearer and easier to see. And since we didn't do this a long time, I'm gonna do a refresher. This continent right here is Abigalia. It is 3 times the size of Asia, and it's that jungle where the billers, the guacamole, the giant Abigalian leech, the slobster, and some other stuff lives. So if you didn't see that, look into other parts of the book. Look at the other chapters, it's in the playlist. And as you can see, this blue, that is a huge river that branches throughout the whole continent. And this is the point where we're going to get into the ocean. This is Lemonada. As you can see, it's shaped like a lemon. That's why it's called Lemonada. It's about northeast of Abigalia a bit. We have Abeja. One part is like a temperate, deciduous forest biome, and the other is completely frozen, like Antarctica. We have Aprilia, which is that spiral kind of shaped. There's a spiral shape, even though the camera won't pick it up, but that's what it's shaped like. There's Flowerland, hence the name. There is Alberia, not to be confused with Albania. There is these few islands, which are the beachlands, and these are not continents, they are just islands. And then we have Arcadia, and the Palmlands, and Plutonia. So that's 9 continents, excluding these, because these are just islands. And without further ado, let's get into the next chapter. And the next chapter is going to be... wait, before we get into this chapter, I'm going to go back and have a little bit of a refresher. Not of the map, but of the whole planet. Utopia is a planet that's about 3 times the diameter of Earth and 1.5 times its mass. It has about 45% oxygen. So all the bugs are giant. And it has 3 moons, Beacon, Gloria, and Lumina. And the chapters that we're going to do next are 20 and 21. So let's get to that real quick. This should not take long at all. Let's find it. Chapter 20 is Bulligators. Chapter 20 is the Bulligator, also known as the giant cave applipod. The Bulligator is the largest species of beta applipod. So there is a group called true applipod, and if you don't know what applipod are, go to my playlist titled The Wondrous World of Utopia and read all the chapters all the way through from the beginning so that you can have a quick, refresher or review of the entire planet before you jump into this one. Otherwise, you're just going to be confused. So, the Bulligator is the largest species of beta applipod. It is quite possibly the scariest. They are not true applipod, but are in a family of creatures called beta applipod, which we went over a few seconds ago. This family also includes creatures like Gordotherium, which means fat beast. Gordotherium. Gordo means fat, and therium is derived from I believe it's a Greek or a Latin word that means beast. So, Gordotherium. They are native to the forests of Alberia and Lemonada and its lakes. So, back to the map. To the forests of Lemonada and Alberia. So they are native here, and they're native here and here. And there's lakes there, and they live in those lakes. And that's where the bully gators are native. The ones we're going to focus on, because there's multiple species of bully gator, are the black with white stripes, well, yellow stripes, like a bee, and its name is the bee bully gator for that name. They have a long line of eyes down the side of its head, down the entire side of its head, similar to what ablopods have, usually 12, instead of 2 olfactory tentacles, where the nostril should be, they have 3. Forget boring, plain old sharp teeth. All of their teeth have fused together to form an incredibly sharp beak, like that of a pufferfish or a snapping turtle, kind of. So think of a pufferfish mouth, or the mouth of a snapping turtle, or Dunkleosteus, which was a giant prehistoric fish. That's what a bully gator has. And the species is known as the bee bully gator. We went over that. Bully gators are colossal. They grow to lengths of 45 to 50 feet, and they can weigh 11 to 16 tons, which is why they spend a lot of their time in the water, but they do sometimes come onto land to hunt. This is much larger than the bacon applipod, which is the species native to Abigalia. And for reference, the bacon applipod is only about 10 feet long and 500 to 700 pounds, which is big, but it's minuscule compared to the bully gator. This is also slightly longer than the guacamolia, which, if you don't know what the guacamolia is, go to read the chapters all the way through from the beginning to now. Due to their large size, bully gators are semi-aquatic like crocodiles and spend most of their time in the water. Kind of like a crocodile or an anaconda or the Spinosaurus. Had yawn. Like ablopods, bully gators lay their eggs in nests and fiercely guard them. And by nests, I don't mean nests like birds' nests or crow's nests. They just dig a hole in the ground and lay their eggs in it, and that's their nest. And they will guard the eggs fiercely until they hatch. Bully gators are carnivores. They eat mostly billers and large spiders. The only competition they have in their native environment is titanamanders, which can eat them with their beaks, their sharp beaks. They can easily crunch through billers' exoskeletons and rip flesh in a single bite. Their method is to attack, then wait for the prey to succumb to the injuries, wait for it to bleed to death, or die from the internal damage caused by that beak. And then, after that has taken effect, they will eat the prey. And this is so they don't waste energy chasing it down. Although bully gators have few natural predators, their bodies are often infested with these giant parasitic tardigrades, which are called paragrades, which means parasitic tardigrades. And they're about the size of a gummy bear, and the way these tardigrades feed is they will attach to the host with their claws, and Google tardigrade if you don't know what the claws look like, and imagine that, but about 1.5 to 2 inches long. And then once they have attached to the skin, they will take this cookie cutter of, well, first thing that they do before they do that is that they bury themselves into the skin, and usually half of their bodies are in your skin, halfway buried, and then they take this ring of teeth that's kind of like a cookie cutter, and they punch it into the flesh, and then they put this proboscis in the flesh and start drinking the blood. So that's not a pleasant experience. And these tardigrade, well, these beasts have a lifespan of 90 years, which is quite long. We can live for 90 years, but compared to some of the other creatures we discussed, it's not that long. Now, chapter 21 is Giganta rays. Kind of like a manta ray, but Giganta rays are basically exactly what they sound like. They're a species of giant stingray. They're not a manta ray. They're an actual stingray in giant form. So don't get those too confused. They are one of the largest species of fish on Utopia, on Utopia's global oceans. And I say that very, very emphatically because there's creatures in Utopia's oceans that are not fish, but are much bigger, like the megalodons, and some clams the size of Walmart that I didn't add here, but they're one of the largest fish. Not the largest creatures in the ocean per se, but fish. They have wide, flat bodies, a black top with a white underside, and a long, barbed tail. So they have that stinger barb in their tail, like a normal stingray. They have 4 large snail-like eye stalks on the tops of their heads, so they have great vision, as well as 4 eyes underneath their bodies. And if I stop, it's because I yawned. This makes 8 eyes in total, so it's a giant stingray with 8 eyes. So they look like your typical stingray, except really big, and they have 8 eyes. They reach a length of 65 feet from head to tail, a width of, they reach a length of 65 feet from head to tail, a width of 60 to 70 feet, and a weight of 50 to 60 tons, so roughly the size of a megalodon, just they're much wider because they're stingrays and not sharks. And the sharks are cylindrical. And this is the size of the female stingrays. But the males are usually half that size, at only 30 feet wide and long, and with a weight of about 5 to 10 tons, so they're a little smaller than a T-Rex, or they weigh as much as a good-sized bus. Well, they weigh about as much as a T-Rex, but they're a little shorter by 10 feet. They're native to the warm tropical oceans surrounding Abigalia. So we're going to look back at this map. And they're native to oceans around this area. Around the whole of Abigalia. These are the oceans. This is where they're native. And a fun fact about Utopia's oceans When I say warm and tropical, I don't just mean like Miami Beach warm and tropical. I mean that these waters sometimes are as so warm you could take a bath. It's like water that you take a bath in. It's that warm. Or like hot tub or jacuzzi water. And which allows for lots of food, lots of algae, which in turn allows for lots of fish, and it allows things in the oceans to get as big as they get. Now, where were we? They're native to the warm tropical oceans surrounding Abigalia, Lemonada, and the beachlands, where food is plentiful, and food's gotta be plentiful in order to get stingrays the size of whales. They spawn at night when beacon is full. This spawning involves the gravid or pregnant females swimming around the ocean without taking any breaks. So they swim non-stop, followed by non-stop egg laying everywhere they go. They can lay thousands of eggs in one night and can deposit them over thousands of miles this way, which allows them to spread all over the Utopian globe. So basically, the way that they spawn or produce their eggs, when it's night and beacon is full, there's like a herd of, well, not a herd, but like a pod of the stingrays that are full of eggs that will dilate their cloacas, which is a separate, well, multi-purpose opening in reptiles, amphibian, and fish that's used for peeing, pooping, mating, egg laying, all that jazz. And fish have it too. So basically what they will do is they will stretch that cloaca, sometimes more than 10 feet wide, and eggs will be spewing out as they swim. So it'll be a bit like a crop duster plane, but instead of pesticides coming out and trailing behind it, it's just thousands of eggs. So it even says this in the book itself. So imagine one of these giant stingrays swimming aimlessly in the sea with a very long trail of eggs billowing behind it as they swim, like fire that trails behind a rocket as it flies. Now these eggs are susceptible to being predated upon. There's the filter feeders like billworms, there's platypedes, there's aquatic allopods, which are the replacement to crustaceans. There's jellyfish that eat the eggs, there's beakfish, starfish, catfish, anemones, anything you can imagine will eat these eggs if they get a chance to. And the 5-foot babies that hatch out of the eggs are preyed upon by, we're going to get a nice list here. They're preyed upon by megamorays, megalodons, pinecone puffers, quadrops sharks, and their own kind. Adults are preyed upon by megalodons, pinecone puffers, and megamorays. These stingrays communicate using internal base organs, and if you don't know what a base organ is, visit chapter 1, which discusses the base organs in billers, and they also communicate by using echolocation, and they also use clicks and chirps. These noises are used mostly to alert the males that they are spawning and to come fertilize the eggs that are spewing out of them as they swim along the sea. The gigantoray is a carnivore. Its diet consists of aquatic autopods, urchins. Now, urchins here are really big. Some urchins here are the size of a small house. Other urchins are the size of normal sea urchins. And other urchins are the size of cars. So just Just imagine a sea urchin the size of a house. But the Gigantoray's mouths are not that big, so they're not eating house-sized sea urchins. So their diet consists of aquatic allopods, urchins, billworms, squids, pseudofish, jellyfish, clams, snails, quadrops, sharks, beakfish, the eggs of other fish, baby megalodons, and plankton. They will also feed on billers that migrate across the sea or end up in the sea. And they use these hard, sharp plates on the insides of their mouth to crush the shells, rip flesh, and powerful lips to slurp. Now they have two methods of hunting that these stingrays use. They can scan along the bottom of the ocean.
Okay.
Recording now. Recording. Sorry for the minor inconvenience. So back to the story. They hunt by swimming along the bottom of the ocean and using the eyes on the underneath of their bodies to kind of scan for things that are living on the bottom of the seafloor, like anemones, jellyfish, urchins, crabs, lobster, shrimp, clams, anything that's on the bottom of the ocean. They'll use the eyes underneath to kind of scan along the bottom, and they will eat anything that's in that path. They can also hunt using their 4 long eye stalks, and this is when they are hunting for prey that's in open water or in the surface or near the surface, like a shark. Internal burp, if you heard it. They protect themselves using their stingers, like any other stingray, or the barb at the end of the barb in their tails. And this is a giant stingray, so obviously they have a giant barb. And this barb on the end of the tail can be up to 6 feet long, and it's connected to a gland that contains alpha toxin, which is a toxin so potent, 1 drop of it could kill over 5,000 people. So that's a very powerful stinger, but you wouldn't have to worry about that, because if you got stung by a giant stingray with a 6-foot long barb, you would die from being impaled before you died from the stinging of the venom itself. And the gland that the stinger is connected to can inject enough venom in one sitting to fill up a 50-gallon fish tank. So imagine being pumped full of 50 gallons of venom. Even if you don't get fully impaled by the stinger, you're not lasting long. The combination of the quality and the quantity of the venom makes it so strong it could kill a blue whale. The stinger is very effective at protecting them against predators like megalodons, which is their main predator, because that's basically it. Most things can't eat them other than megalodons and pinecone puffers once they get to a certain size. Wait, what? What liquid is non-toxic? We skipped to a different chapter, that's why. And they have a lifespan. They have an average lifespan of 500 years, and that is where we wrap up chapter 21, and we will do another chapter tomorrow, and we're going to be doing 22 and 23, which is fork-tail shrimp And wait, if fork-tail shrimp is that short, then we can squeeze this in right now. So chapter 22 is fork-tail shrimp. The fork-tail shrimp is the most abundant saltwater shrimp. They are not crustaceans. There is no crustaceans on Utopia, even though that there's crabs, there's lobsters, there's crayfish, and there's shrimp. They're genetically not crustaceans. They are olipods, which fills the same niche as crustaceans, but genetically they're not actually crustaceans. The shrimp grows from 3 to 5 feet long and can weigh up to 60 pounds, so about the size of a large dog. So if you like to eat shrimp, this is going to be a nice meal for you. And they live in the ocean, and they can only survive in salt water. They lay their eggs in algae, and the babies eat that algae when they hatch. And the shrimp are omnivores. They eat algae, seaweed, small olipods, billworm, hatchlings, and jellyfish. And they can swim, well, they can swim fast and jump fast using their powerful tails, kind of like a grasshopper. And they also have orange blood like billers. And the orange blood's not toxic, similar to that purple blood that some of the other creatures have. The purple blood is toxic, and they have a lifespan of about 100 years. And this is where we wrap up, and the next chapter we're going to do tomorrow is the giant red jacket wasp. So you know that we're going to be discussing a giant wasp. And for relief, here's Bill relaxing in his water. And thanks for watching. Goodbye.